In the heart of a bustling African city, where dreams flicker like candle flames in the wind, Amina walked through the dusty streets, her mind drowning in worry. Her father lay weak in their crumbling home, his medical bills stacked higher than the roof that barely held above them. Her younger siblings, innocent, hungry, hopeful, looked up to her, unaware that the weight of their survival now rested on her fragile shoulders. She had always been the good girl, the one who listened, the one who obeyed, the one who never dared to cross the invisible lines drawn by culture, family, and fear. But desperation is a cruel teacher. It whispers things in the dead of night. It makes the unthinkable possible. Then she heard the rumors, whispers of Arab millionaires, men so rich they could buy anything they desired. Some wanted cars, some wanted palaces, and some wanted a woman untouched, a woman like her. The idea was madness. Amina should have dismissed it, should have prayed the thought away. But when hunger gnaws at your family and your mother's tears become your lullaby, morals begin to shift like sand in a desert storm. One night, one man, one fortune. Was it a sin or was it survival? And if she said yes, could she ever go back? They say every woman has a price, but what if that price could save the people you love? Amina never thought she'd find herself here, teetering on the edge of a decision so dangerous, so forbidden, that even thinking about it felt like a sin. But life had backed her into a corner. And when you're drowning, you don't ask if the rope thrown at you is clean, you just grab it. The whispers had reached her ears like a devil's lullaby. Arab men will pay millions for a virgin if she is beautiful enough. It sounded like a twisted fairy tale, the kind of thing desperate girls believed in right before their worlds crumbled. At first, she laughed it off. Then she ignored it. Then she lay awake at night, staring at the cracked ceiling of her family's home, wondering, could it really be true? Could one night, just one, change everything? Her heart pounded as she scrolled through forums, secretive websites, encrypted messages. She wasn't the only one. There were others. Girls who claimed to have done it and walked away richer than they ever imagined. Some called it empowerment. Some called it survival. Some never spoke of it again. And then there was a name, a buyer, Khaled. He wasn't just rich, he was filthy rich, the kind of man who owned yachts the size of hotels and spent money like it was oxygen. Some said he was ruthless. Others said he was lonely. But one thing was certain. He was looking for exactly what Amina had to offer. Her finger hovered over the screen, the weight of her decision pressing down on her like a storm cloud. Once she sent that message, there was no turning back. And this is just the beginning. What happens when Amina steps into a world she was never meant to enter? Will she walk away with everything she ever dreamed of? Or lose herself in a deal she can never undo? If you want to know how far she'll go and what secrets Khaled is hiding, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on the notifications because, trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. This story is only getting started. Fire! Amina's hands trembled as she stared at the message on her screen. One simple text, just a few words, and her life would never be the same. Her heart pounded in her chest as she typed, deleted, and typed again. I heard you're looking for someone like me. No name, no details, just enough to spark his interest. And then she hit send. Seconds passed, then minutes. Her stomach twisted into knots. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe she could still walk away, but just as she was about to shut her phone off and pretend none of this ever happened, her screen lit up. New message. She swallowed hard before opening it. Come to Dubai. First-class ticket is waiting. I'll pay double if you're truly untouched. A chill ran down her spine. It wasn't just real. It was happening. The price of her innocence had just skyrocketed. And Khaled, he wasn't playing games. Amina could already hear her mother's voice in her head, warning her of the dangers of strange men and fast money. But love wouldn't keep the landlord away. Morals wouldn't feed her siblings. And in this world, the rich always got what they wanted. The question was she ready to give it? Before we go any further, ask yourself, What would you do? If one night could erase every struggle, every tear, every hungry night your family has endured, would you say yes? Or would the weight of your conscience crush you before you ever boarded that plane? Because Amina, she's already made her choice. She sat in the dim glow of her phone screen, rereading the message from Khaled. The invitation was there, the money was promised, and the only thing standing between her and salvation was fear. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. I need time to think. That's what she wanted to type. But instead, her hands moved faster than her thoughts, and before she could stop herself, I'm in. The second she hit send, her stomach twisted. She expected regret. She expected guilt. But what she didn't expect, the rush, a dangerous, electrifying thrill that came with knowing she was about to step into a world she had no business entering. Minutes later, another message arrived. Your flight leaves tomorrow night. No hesitation, no further negotiation. He wanted her, and he wanted her now. For the next 24 hours, Amina moved through her home like a ghost. She smiled at her mother. She kissed her siblings good night. But deep inside, she knew this might be the last time she looked at them the same way. Because when she came back, she wouldn't be the same girl anymore. Dubai, a city of gold, excess, and unimaginable wealth. The moment Amina stepped off the plane, the heat wrapped around her like a whisper of temptation. Everything felt surreal, the luxury, the extravagance, the sheer power of a place built by men who had never heard the word no. And now, she was about to meet one of them. A sleek black car waited for her at the curb. No driver in sight, just a message on her phone. Get in. Her heart pounded as she slid into the back seat. The leather was softer than anything she had ever touched, the air thick with the scent of money and something darker, something forbidden. Minutes later, the car pulled up to a private villa overlooking the water, and there, standing at the entrance, watching her with unreadable eyes, Khaled. He was nothing like she expected. No overweight, desperate old man. No sleazy, arrogant playboy. He was dangerous, but in a different way. Tall, devastatingly handsome, and carrying the quiet confidence of a man who could destroy lives with a single word. His voice was smooth, almost amused. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. Amina's breath hitched. What had she just walked into? Dinner was served under the soft glow of a chandelier worth more than her entire village. Khaled barely touched his food. His attention was on her, watching, studying, as if he was trying to unravel her piece by piece. Then, finally, he leaned in. Tell me, Amina, do you really think I paid all this money just to have you for one night? The fork nearly slipped from her fingers. Her stomach tightened. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I thought that was the arrangement, she said cautiously. Khaled smirked. Arrangements change. He leaned back, swirling his glass of wine. You fascinate me. You're not like the others. What if I told you I don't want just your body? What if I want something more? The air crackled between them. Amina had no words. What was he playing at? Be mine, he said simply, not just for a night. Be mine, indefinitely. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. Was this another game? Another trick? Or was she about to become something far more dangerous than just a paid mistress? His possession. Days turned into weeks. Khaled spoiled her with things she never knew existed. Designer clothes, private jets, whispered promises under Dubai's glittering skyline. But it wasn't just luxury. It was power. Amina wasn't just some girl anymore. She was Khaled's woman. And with that came access to a world where rules didn't exist. She saw how the elite played their games, how money moved without a second thought, how women were both worshipped and discarded in the same breath. And through it all, she realized something terrifying. She was changing. The girl who once feared losing herself, she had already begun to disappear. Her mother's worried voice on the phone didn't reach her like it used to. Her siblings' innocent laughter felt like echoes from a life that no longer fit. Because here, in this gilded cage, Amina wasn't a poor African girl anymore. She was somebody. But at what cost? Not everyone in Khaled's world welcomed her with open arms. Jealous women, ruthless businessmen, enemies hidden behind fake smiles. One night, she overheard a conversation that chilled her to the bone. She thinks she's special. She's just another toy. When he's done, he'll throw her away like the rest. Amina's breath caught. She turned to leave, only to find Khaled standing in the shadows, watching, listening. He stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "Do you believe them?" Her voice trembled. "Tell me they're wrong." A slow smirk, a brush of his fingers against her cheek. "What do you think?" And just like that, the spell cracked. She wasn't a queen. She wasn't his equal. She was his plaything. And now she had a choice. She could run, disappear before she lost herself completely. But where would she go? Back to a life where survival was a daily battle? Back to a home where she could never admit the things she had done? Or she could stay, become what Khaled wanted her to be. But there was one thing he didn't know. Amina had been desperate when she arrived, but now she was dangerous. And if Khaled thought she was just another girl he could buy, use, and discard, he was about to learn the hard way. He'd just created a woman who could destroy him. And this is only the beginning. Will Amina take her revenge? Will she escape this world or become part of it forever? You don't want to miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button now because, trust me, the real game is just getting started. Before we wrap this up, let me ask you, what's stronger? Love, revenge, or the hunger for power? Because Amina, she's about to taste all three. She should have left. She should have walked away the moment she saw the truth behind Khaled's smile. But the problem with power, once you've had a taste, you can't live without it. Amina played the role perfectly. The obedient lover, the grateful mistress, the woman who had surrendered herself to a billionaire's world. But deep inside, she was planning his downfall. She spent months studying his empire, his weaknesses, his enemies, the cracks in his seemingly indestructible kingdom. And the moment he let his guard down, she struck. Late one night, she made her move, bank accounts emptied, secrets exposed, deals sabotaged. She even did the unthinkable. She betrayed him to the one man who hated him most, a rival billionaire, a man who had spent years waiting for Khaled to slip. And Amina? She was the slip. Khaled's empire collapsed overnight. His allies turned on him, his wealth crumbled, and just like that, the man who once owned everything had nothing. Amina stood over him as he sat in the ruins of his once glorious life, the same way he once looked down at her. His voice was quiet. "You think you've won?" She smirked. "I know I have." And then she walked away. No looking back, no regret. But here's the thing about revenge. It always comes at a price. Amina had taken everything from Khaled. But what she didn't expect, she had also taken his heart. Because when a man like Khaled loses everything, he doesn't just disappear. He doesn't just move on. He waits, he watches, he plots. And one night, as Amina stood in her new penthouse, staring at the city she now ruled, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Did you really think this was over? Her blood ran cold. She turned slowly, and there he was, Khaled, smirking, dangerous. And this time, he was playing by his own rules. And that's where we leave it. Because now, the real question is, who will win this game? Will Khaled reclaim what was his? Will Amina prove she was always meant to rule? One thing is certain. This war isn't over. Hit that subscribe button because the next chapter, it's going to be absolutely insane.